What does it mean to have a child who is different?
I honestly don't believe in labels that much because it does segregate. All these children who have simple things like learning disability, they're absolutely normal kids. Either mom or dad has it and they've turned out perfect in life. You don't need to worry.
Various labels are only meant to help you ask for help.
Child with autism can be really mild. There's little soft things which are still not perfect, but what is perfect at the end of the day? So I keep trying to tell parents that don't mollycoddle them. Don't have sympathy and say, oh, it doesn't matter if he doesn't do it. Push them like you would look at your child as if everything were fine.
This is a country where Ram and Raman existed together. This is a country where Godse and Gandhi are both spoken about. This is a country where you talk Anekta mein Ekta and diversity. Where are then we failing in including humans? Hello and a very warm welcome to Seat at the Table with Vakeel. My name is Mugdha Kalra, and on this podcast series, we talk about invisible disabilities, neurodiversity, a world that is inclusive, a world that is embracing, accepting, and loving of people that are perhaps different from one another. And today I have a very special guest with me, Dr. Anaita Hegde. Dr. Anaita needs no introduction. She is one of the most brilliant, most renowned pediatric neurologists in the country. Somebody who I have worked closely with my own son, and I can't even begin to thank you because that is one place where we come back with a lot of hope. We come back with a lot of energy and come inspired that life is beautiful, can be beautiful. We just have to have a different lens, perhaps.
That's right.
Today, we are starting this conversation trying to understand why is it called neurodiversity. And over the period of last few years, I have understood when somebody asks me, what does it mean to have a child who is different and who is perhaps autistic or on the spectrum, and what to expect? I haven't been able to quite rightly been able to answer that question because everybody's experience is different. Neurodiversity is so different. So when we talk about the concept, what do we need to understand about the way our brains are working?
So it's interesting you brought up the word neurodiversity and where it comes from, because I'm just beginning to think of it myself. And we do realize that different parts of the brain are equipped and associated with different functions, different behaviors, different moods. We have neurotransmitters in the brain. We have different cells. And some parts are better and some parts are weaker in all of us. All of us. Right. So what makes a prodigy musician?
Right.
There's that part in the brain where music is situated, where that kid has got circuits which are better equipped and stronger, and maybe was started at a younger age and became more enhanced at that stage, which makes that prodigy happen down the line. So whether you're someone who excels in sport or music or creative arts or academics or whatever, or someone who's deficient in any of these spaces, it all comes from the brain because it's a combination of chemicals, cells, environment, genetics, everything put together. Okay. So I think that's where you get the concept of neuro, okay, that it all originates out of the brain. But just like I was telling you, you never say Sachin Tendulkar is really gifted in, sport, because the motor part of his brain, the coordination part of his brain is more enhanced than maybe other parts of it. So like you have those who are powerful in spaces, you have those who are a little lower than normal in those spaces. And that's where the divergence comes in. Because depending in which part, which chemical, where it's situated, what is the function of that brain, what happens in that part, you will get a clinical picture which looks different. That also explains that someone with a label, whether you say autism or cerebral palsy, or you say ADHD, or you say whatever you want, can have such a wide spectrum.
Yeah.
So this diversity is not just in ahead and a little behind. The diversity is also in the conditions, and the diversity is also in the degree or the spectrum of each of these conditions in which you can manifest outside.
Right.
So we all know a child with autism can be really mild and can get integrated and everything is fine. But yes, a parent will know that we have these little soft things which are still not perfect. But what is perfect at the end of the day? We don't know what are the norms of perfection, be it in the brain or be it on the outside. So I like the word diverse because it is not negative in any way. It's not derogatory in any way. It just shows that we have variations.
Yes.
And they come from the brain.
Yeah. Interestingly, when people would say, why label? Initially, when a parent gets a diagnosis, they are wary of labels as well. They don't like those labels. But over a period of time, you realize that normal is a myth as well. And when you're looking at various labels, they are only meant to help you ask for help. And that is something I realized, that when I went and I told people that, hey, my son is neurodiverse, these are his support needs, and if given these, he will thrive, I have gotten help. Versus saying that, no, everything is fine with my child and I want him to be included. The inclusion bit, I have realized, only comes when you start talking about why you need to be included or what are the challenges that you're facing. But in your profession, do you come across so many parents? Do you feel that they are open to taking these labels back home, working with them and accepting even today as we stand in 2025?
Tough. When they first come, it's devastating. You have them break down in tears.
Been there.
They've gone on the net before they've reached you. They just want to hear me say, no, your son doesn't have autism, or your son doesn't have this. And the common question, isn't he going to become normal? He's going to become, how long will it take? What do I need to do? How can I do it? How many sessions do I need? And you have to sort of slow the train down and say, listen, there's no magic solution. This is not running away. This is there. It's just how you look at it. So you have to learn to take it and look at it as the most beautiful. And I'll be honest, I think we are tenfold enriched as a people when we come in contact or are associated with people with diversity, because we have so much to learn.
Oh, absolutely.
From their nature, the fact that they are disinhibited sometimes in certain things, which gives you such a fresh look on life. So that's a totally different aspect, what we learn from them. But parents struggle. I always tell them, let's not label, because they don't want to hear the word as a label. Yeah. But I do agree that the concept of it is not just for guidance, like for relocation. Yes. You see, they look at it as it's for segregation. They look at it as a stigma. They look at it as, now the teacher's going to say, oh, he's got autism. Sorry, I can't admit him to school. You have learned to look at it as a tool to help you. Yeah. Most people still look at it, at least for the first few years, and I'm sure you may have gone through it yourself, as a tool of segregation or making my child look different. But I honestly don't believe in labels that much, because it does segregate. I do believe it segregates. So all these children who have simple things like learning disability, they're absolutely normal kids. Yeah. They just have 10% of the world has it. Either mom or dad has it. And I mean, that's how I put it to them. Listen, either mom or dad has it, and they've turned out perfect in life. You don't need to worry. But the minute you put them into this special class or this remedial class in the school, which is meant with good intent, which is meant to give them that extra attention, the other kids pick on them. Yeah. And I know so many children who have left schools, really good schools, because they cannot take the bullying, the emotional association that comes with being in the remedial class. You get it? So I think I cannot tell you how in my 30 years of practice things have changed. It's fun to watch. It's very encouraging. I know we are a far way off from what is ideal, but I don't even think the West has got the ideal situation. Absolutely. I don't think anyone has the ideal situation, because I don't think thrusting inclusion onto us is a way. I think it's a way your eyes look at something. So as you said, it's the lens.
Yesterday, Mr. Patil opened the conference, the Secretary of the Human Rights Commission, and he said something very interesting. He said that this is a country where Ram and Ravan existed together. This is a country where Godse and Gandhi are both spoken about. This is a country where you talk ekta, anekta mein ekta and diversity. Where are then we failing in including humans? There is diversity. Yes, there is diversity that divides us. But at the same time, this is the only country which perhaps talks of a robust joint family system. And I can't put more emphasis on how my life is much easier because I come from a family where everybody sort of takes an initiative in understanding me and my child. Where are we failing then in terms of early inclusion, where perhaps everybody comes together and says, all right, you're different, but yeah, we'll make this work?
I always think it's so easy for us to criticize. We are so behind in this, we are so behind in that. I truly believe, I look at it as we are a young nation. Yeah. We are only 60, 75, 80. For tomorrow, a few years, we're going to be 100. We are really young. We have had to struggle to reach here. You have financial issues, yes. You have social issues, you have diversity of nationality, which is a beauty that nobody understands and appreciates better than us, but no other country has it. Right. We are fighting for survival still in many spaces, if you look down at that. So when you're fighting for survival, equality and inclusion become a little bit of a luxury when life, food, and the more basic stuff is there. Right. So you can understand a really poor family who cannot afford to miss a day of labor in the field, otherwise there's no food on the table, and then they get a child who has a disability who can't contribute. To them it's like, it's not only a down, they have to feed, they have to educate, they have to do so much of their time, their economics, everything gets taken into trying to help this child. Right. And society and the village do not look at it the way as you and I. So I think sometimes this is also a bit of a space where we are fortunate to be there, where we can demand of an education, demand of a teacher who's supportive, demand or get therapies or include them into everything. So I think give us another, I would almost say not 4, 5, 6 decades, because this change that I've seen since I started practice 30 years ago is lovely. Not only is our government aware of it, we have some of the most amazing government policies. If you actually go to find out, we have everything covered. We have brilliant minds at the top. We have vision at the top. It's how it percolates.
Yeah, the implementation is a challenge. Yeah.
But that's, I think, where this evolving, growing nation has its thing. I mean, there are so many limitations.
Doc, when we talk about intervention, of course, intervention looks completely different in a city, in a tier 1, tier 2. But even in a tier 2 or beyond if we go, my first question would be, is this a big city phenomenon or are you seeing it pan-India?
So I work out in the villages as well and in small towns. Now for about 15 years, I've been doing that, and I'm closely associated with a certain district in Maharashtra. And I would say it's pan-India. Okay. We are more critical and sometimes a little more derogatory and mean in the cities because life is so fast-paced that we have very little tolerance for variability.
Correct.
You get it?
There they are going with the flow and growing up with the flow.
There they grow with the flow and grow up with the flow, but there the stigma or the education of the parent who thinks that their child should be in school, their child should be part of this, that's the blocking agent there. You get it? She doesn't believe that her kid is capable. So she doesn't mind if he doesn't go to school. She doesn't mind if he just sits at home and does nothing or plays out on the veranda. So that concept that everyone has a capability, we have to find that ability. We have to you might get a good teacher, but then a parent will think, "Arey,
Yeah.
kuch fayde ka nahi hai, so let's just leave it."
Yeah, no, that's a very, very, that's a chord you touched, because a lot of times it so happens that you come with a diagnosis, you get a diagnosis, you are okay with the diagnosis, and then people start to ask you, oh, you have an autistic child, oh, what's the superpower? And then this whole narrative starts to come out that, all right, my child has to show me some magic somewhere. And guilty as charged, because my son, and he used to play with the puzzles, and he would make those puzzles, and then lo and behold, everybody was gifting only puzzles, and he was like done with the puzzles. But the thing is, he would enjoy doing it, but would it mean that he would have a career that could come out of that skill? I don't know. But for me, it was just a joy to see him enjoy that. And that, I think, was very important. But I think this narrative that every child has a superpower takes it very far. And the narrative that you're talking about, which again, guilty as charged, we want to make it so simple for our children that we stop expecting or we stop hoping. So where do you draw the line?
So I explain to parents in a very simple way that, listen, life is tough for all of us, you and me. I don't think there's anybody in the audience or anybody here who can say they have not had a hit somewhere in life where they've had to pick themselves up, look inside, find that strength and move on.
Yeah.
It can be in different forms, physical, emotional, mental, etc. For them, life is going to be tougher. So I keep trying to tell parents that don't mollycoddle them. Don't have sympathy and say, oh, it doesn't matter if he doesn't do it, but this one has to do it. Push them like you would look at your child as if everything were fine. He is weak. I mean, if someone is weak in maths, what you're going to do, you're going to sit and make him do more maths. Yeah. You're going to see if, okay, after a few years, it's just not working. Can I get exemption from maths? You're not going to put him in a line where he's not going to become an accountant, a CA, or anything where maths becomes the primary subject of his life. So you have adjusted over a period of time to pick up what he's not good at and see if you can drop it along the way, find what he is good at and start enhancing on that. Right. And that's how it works with all children.
Yeah, that's true.
Everyone has a gift. The level of the gift may be different. Yeah. Everyone is not going to become a rocket scientist at the end of the day. Yeah. Likewise, every child with disability may not reach mainstream at that stage, but whatever the potential of that person or child is, right, that needs to be identified and it needs to be highlighted, promoted, and give him the confidence to believe. So, these visuospatial skills that autistic children have, it's magical. Mm-hmm. It really is. And it's not just one. So that's that part of the brain, the visuospatial cortex of the brain, which has an ability for them to see something once, and remember it, and then
remember it.
So when you think of it, where could you use it? You must start. I could think of in crime scenes. I could think of I know someone who's a civil engineer. He's just seen all the wires and the pipes of the city underground, and he can envisage it perfectly every time down the line. And he doesn't talk or he doesn't do anything, but he's just part of the team. So you have to, as a parent, that's where I think that your responsibility comes in. Yeah. Is once you know this is what your kid has, how and where in everyday life can I put him in so that he can... You see, when he does well in something, he's going to get a pat on the back, and all humans only want, wow, you're so good. That's all they want. So if it can come in that way, why not?
Before I come to the last question, just one question, which is medical intervention related. What we are finding now increasingly is that there are modern meds that are helping our children perform better, reach their potential, handle the co-occurrences well. It's not fixing autism, but it is handling the co-occurrences well. Why is still there a lot of hesitation when it comes to medical?
I should be asking you. You are the parent. Most of the parent, I'll put it on the chart. Yeah. I'll try. I break it to them very carefully and slowly. Yeah. I say that, you've done everything. You've done all the therapies. Your kid's in a good school. You're trying really hard. Where are you stuck? And they'll say, oh, we are stuck because he doesn't do that. I said, are you open to try meds? And very often they'll say no.
Yeah.
Many will reach that point of total this where they say yes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, sometimes I have therapists or other people who say, oh, don't put medicines. We'll see that we'll correct it for your child. We'll correct your child for it. This concept of correcting people, I think has to go. So my way of putting it to them is, listen, you've done whatever you can, and you will continue to do whatever you can. What we are looking for is we are trying to find a situation where your child can show his best face forward.
Right.
Okay, there's so much potential inside.
Right.
There's so much knowledge, intelligence, everything, but that behavior is blocking it being expressed or received by the opposite side properly. Let's just give him the chance to put his best face forward. No medicine is permanent. Please, that's a misconception. It's permanent. You have the right to stop it whenever you want. If he's reached the point where he's achieved it of his own accord, why would you continue it? You would take it off and see that he manages on his own. So it is not a cure.
Right.
It is just one of the things in association with a fab parent, with a good therapy team, with a good understanding of what we want out of him. Sometimes a little meds can just tip the table so that he becomes more included.
Last question is about the F's that you always talk about. If you could just speak to everyone who's watching about them.
Okay, so we have, it's more than the F's. I think it was a shift in mind shift. Of how to look at a child of any disability. Okay, whether it's so the whole thrust in conventional therapy was physiotherapy, occupation therapy, speech therapy, behavior therapy, this therapy, that therapy, and the poor parent would just be drowned in the different therapies that they were running from pillar to post. What we did, or what they did, is they gave a vision, a terminal vision to the parent.
Right.
To see what you should be doing so that you achieve that. And how to achieve it is as natural as possible. It's fitness, it's friends, it's family, it's functionality and future, which is, your future is the ultimate aim. Correct? Look at the end goal and see how you want to reach there. And you want to reach there in a happy, confident space, so that you believe you are of value and contributory to society, and it happens in more than just the therapeutic forms.
Right.
So something like exercise is so liberating. So dance, exercise, swimming, speech and drama classes, art classes, paint classes, you name it. Find what your kid is good at. He can't do everything.
And this is something that can continue for later in life, because when people at our age go for therapeutic intervention, the doc says, well, pick a sport, pick a hobby. And then you're wondering, oh, all my life I didn't do anything.
No, but if I had to ask you, when you are stressed, what is it you do? What recourse do you take? What do you think you need to do to make yourself feel better? I know I need to do sport. Okay, that liberates me. I come back at the end of the morning with oh wow, I wish I was doing this every day.
Yeah.
You get it? So we all need to find that something which makes us calmer, happier, more grounded, coming back to reality rather than just achieving concept. And achieving can be at different levels. Just walking can be an achievement at the end of the day. But we want them to have something for the future they can fall back on that gives them the ability to reroute themselves and get on track again.
Thank you so much for taking our time and for being your brilliant self as always.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I hope it helps them.